Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And then remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. Now, you listen or you look at the celebration today. National Just Because Day. No, we're not going to celebrate that. And this is not a health and fitness show. So we're not going to talk about, or health food. So we're not going to talk about National Peach Day. We already talked about peach pie. I like peach pie. I like peaches too, but, we're not talking about that one. So having beaten anorexia, we are going to go with National Pots de Cream Day. I wonder, Josh, is it pots de cream or pots de creme? I don't know. It doesn't matter because it looks good. So it's a custard dessert. And if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a picture of the National Pots de Creme with whipped cream, I might add. Yeah, Josh has the whipped cream right there on top. Looking good. Let's see. I didn't realize this one. Hey, Josh, did you know this? Stressed, spelled backwards, is desserts. I didn't know that. Okay, so you learned some more useless trivia from Ron Siegel Radio. Stressed, spelled backwards. I'm going to have to use that one more frequently. All right, I like that one. Let's see what the markets are doing today. Do we want to see what the markets are doing today? Yeah, we like it. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 131 points. NASDAQ is up 349 points. Wow. Yeah, we like that. And the S&P 500 is up 48. Oil up 49 cents a barrel. Not a lot of movement there. Gold, $12 an ounce on the upside. 10-year Treasury, pretty flat, up 1 basis point, 4.66. And we've got the mortgage bond is down a basis point, 1 basis point. So not enough to even tell you that when the bond goes down, rates go up. I'm not going to say that because 1 basis point does not affect anything. But also, we're watching right now, we're going to talk about this in the Mortgage Minute, trimmed mean inflation. So we're going to watch that one. That's going to be the biggie to check out. We're also looking at jobless claims is in the news right now. So 203,000, forecasted was 208,000. So the number of first-time people filing for unemployment benefits, it is dropping. So that's some good news right there as we watch first-time unemployment dropping. But I question how accurate the numbers are. Why do I question it? Well, basically it has to do with the idea that are people getting into the gig economy? Are they getting into more This is going to be, I have no documentation of this, just my own opinions. So are we going to be starting to get into where people are starting their own businesses, but do a lot of people understand all the bookkeeping that goes into starting their own businesses? I watch these content creators, and Josh, you may know this answer better than me. You watch the content creators, and they get paid the way I understand it. Some of them are charging a subscription that you'll create content, send out subscription to people who are buying your services. So they send out this content, collect the money. Okay, there's some of them that are commission-based where you're creating, what do they call it? UGC content, I think it is, or something along those lines. And you get paid a commission for it. But when you collect that, should be 1099 income, but is it all going to be reported? And certainly we know that if it's 1099 income, there are surprises that come with 1099 income. You're self-employed. So are you paying disability insurance? Are you paying workman's comp insurance? Do you qualify for these things? I don't know the answer to all of them. I just sit here and pose the questions that come to my mind because I'm a consumer advocate. I ask these questions. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the VA loan is not the problem. Not knowing how to use it is the problem. You won the Landlord game. The tax bill is optional. Your home could cost your family $58,000 to inherit. A trust costs less. And the case for putting 20% down on your next home. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. Or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at RonIsMyLender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. RonIsMyLender.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you put in your mortgage calculator to determine your principal and interest payment. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, shame on you. We have two places. We give them to you for free. rsrloans.com/calculators, rsrloans.com/calculators, or right there on the homepage, ronsiegelradio.com, ronsiegelradio.com. Rates yesterday, all of them look good. They're all down. Conventional 30-year fixed 6.655. Jumbo 30-year fixed 6.701. FHA 30-year fixed 6.479. VA 30-year fixed 6.27. USDA 30-year fixed 6.383. Every one of them were down. And what's going on in the markets today? We've got the S&P 500 is up 48.5 points. Oil is up 39 cents a barrel. We've got the 10-year Treasury up 1 basis point, 4.66, and the mortgage bond down 3 basis points. Not enough to matter. So let's take a look and see what's driving all of this. Well, you're looking at the new Fed chair, Warsh. He's going to be speaking at Jackson Hole tomorrow morning. But the thing that's most interesting to me is his favorite measure of inflation is something called the Dallas Fed Trimmed Mean. Dallas Fed released its trimmed mean inflation report for July, showing that inflation rose 0.18% during the month and remained unchanged at 2.3% year over year. Dallas Fed's measure is designed to capture underlying inflation by excluding outliers and price shocks. It does this by removing the top 31% of the inflation gainers and the bottom 24% of items decreasing in price. In July's report, oil prices, which would have helped inflation move lower, were removed. Portfolio management and computers and chips related items were also removed, which added a lot to inflation in PCE. The trim mean is showing that underlying inflation is well behaved, which is why the Fed is supposed to be focused on. Former Fed Governor Stephen Marin spoke on CNBC this morning and was not in favor of hiking rates. He said that those Fed members that want to see a hike need to remember that monetary policy has long and variable lags, where it could take 12 to 18 months from the time the Fed hikes to see the impacts in the markets. For that reason, he believes Fed members need to ask if the oil shocks and miscalculations within the PCE will start to be adding to inflationary pressure in the second half of 2027. If that answer is yes, they should hike. If no, they should not. Apartment List reported that rental prices on new rents rose by 0.1% in August, which was the 7th monthly increase in a row and the first time we've seen a positive August since 2022. Normally at this time of year, rental prices turn negative. Year over year, rental prices are still down 0.8%, but that is an improvement from negative 1% in the previous report. While still negative, prices have been strengthening on a relative basis, with vacancy rates improving from its peak of 7.3% to 7.1%. Main reason why rental prices have been slightly firmer is higher rates. Many potential homeowners are being forced to rent because of affordability, which is causing more demand on the rents. And that is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. And if you're having trouble with the affordability, maybe it's the number you're looking at. Maybe it's the way you're structuring your loan. Remember, strategy beats rate always. Have you looked at the buy down program to help with affordability? rsrlinks.com/buy down. rsrlinks.com/buy down. Mortgage 101, brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. Here's something that bothers me after 4 decades in this business. A veteran earned a benefit they can use more than once over an entire lifetime, and somebody talked them out of using it even one time. Not because they did not qualify, because of a rumor. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor and certified veteran mortgage advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today, I want to clear up the VA home loan, not the brochure version, the real version, because most of what people repeat about VA loans is about 15 years out of date. And veterans are paying for that with money and with opportunity. Let me start with the biggest one. I already used my VA loan, so that's that. No, having an existing VA loan does not automatically mean you cannot use your benefit again. Veterans can have more than one VA loan at the same time, and your benefit does not expire. It does not have a shelf life. It does not go stale because you bought a house in 2011. Think about what that means. This is not a one-time coupon. This is a tool you can pick up again and again throughout your life. So what does that look like in practice? Picture a veteran who bought a small house years ago. Job changes, families grows. They need more room. They assume they have to sell the first house to move. In a lot of cases, they do not. They may be able to keep that first home, let it work for them, and buy the next one using their benefit again. That is one decision, and it could be the difference between owning one house and owning two. Now, here's the one almost nobody knows. A veteran can buy a 2 to 4 unit property with a VA loan. Live in one of the units as your primary residence, rent the others. And in many cases, you may be able to use rental income from those other units to help you qualify. Stop and think about that. Zero down on a building that pays part of its own mortgage. I've watched veterans do this and then look up 10 years later with real equity, real cash flow, and a whole different financial picture. That is not luck. That is knowing what the benefit actually allows, which brings me to the myth that costs the most. VA loans are difficult. VA loans consistently have one of the lowest denial rates among major loan programs, one of the lowest. Yet veterans still get told their financing is a problem. Let me knock down a few of the specific rumors behind that. VA has no title seasoning requirement. If a veteran wants to buy a home that was recently renovated and resold, there's no 90-day waiting period. That is an FHA rule. Do not FHA your VA loan. VA has added a process to rush an appraisal. When timing gets tight, the lender may be able to work with the VA appraiser to expedite it for an additional lender-paid fee. That option exists now. Most people do not know it. Peeling or chipped paint on homes built after 1978 is no longer an automatic repair item. Neither are many non-habitable outbuildings. The old horror stories about VA appraisers red flagging a shed are just that, old stories. Pest and termite inspections are not required in many states. It depends on the property and the circumstances. Do you see the pattern? People are quoting rules from years ago, and veterans are losing offers over it. Now, let me talk about qualifying, because this is one where I see the most damage done. The VA does not set a minimum credit score, not one. Individual lenders add their own requirements on top, and we call those overlays. 12 months of good credit is the key to using that guideline the right way through what lenders call a manual underwrite. The VA also does not have a simple hard maximum debt ratio. Residual income matters, credit history matters, automated underwriting findings matter, compensating factors matter, the overall strength of the file matters. Translation: a computer saying no on one desk does not mean no. And a few more that put money directly back in the veteran's pocket. 2 unmarried veterans can potentially buy a home together with zero down using a VA joint loan. If you receive qualifying VA disability compensation, you may be exempt from the VA funding fee entirely, and do not guess about this. Get a copy of your certificate of eligibility and verify your funding fee status. Surviving spouses may qualify for the VA home loan benefit. Same first step. Get the certificate of eligibility. Here is one that catches even experienced agents. Seller paid closing costs are separate from the VA 4% seller concession calculation. The 4% rule does not mean a seller can only contribute 4% toward the transaction. That is a big one. And getting it wrong can leave thousands on the table. A condo can be VA approved without being FHA approved. Those are two completely separate processes. And when an appraisal comes in low, VA gives us two chances to advocate for the veteran. First, Tidewater, and then if we need it, a reconsideration of value. 2 shots. Most programs give you none. We put all of this into one paper so you do not have to take notes while you drive. If you want a copy, reach out to us and we'll send it to you. Now, here's the part I really want you to hear. Getting a certificate of eligibility tells you what you are eligible for. It does not tell you what is suitable for you. Eligibility is a form. Suitability is a strategy. That gap is where families build wealth or leave it sitting on the table. Because the VA loan is not just a way to buy a house. It's a way to buy a house again and a multi-unit and to keep your cash working instead of tied up in a down payment. Strategy beats rate always. The VA loan is not the problem. Not knowing how to use the VA loan is the problem. Who a veteran works with matters. So here's what I want you to do. Go to rsrlinks.com/VA loan. That's rsrlinks.com/VA loan. It walks you through your benefit, your certificate of eligibility, the questions you should be asking before you sign anything. One more thing, so we are clear about how we work. We are lenders. We are not realtors. We do know realtors who specialize in serving veterans. And if a referral fee comes our way, the majority of it is donated to nonprofit organizations. The more we know, the more veterans we can serve. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to Mortgage 101, brought to you by rsrloans.com, rsrloans.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the case for putting 20% down on your next home. Your home could cost your family $58,000 to inherit. A trust costs less. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the first Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. The case for putting 20% down on your next home. If you're planning to buy your next home soon, you've probably heard the old rule about saving 20% for your down payment. The truth is, you usually don't have to. Plenty of loan options let qualified buyers put down much less, but a lot of repeat buyers are choosing to put down 20% anyway. So why are they if they don't have to? 2 reasons. They know a bigger down payment pays off, and after years in the current house, they've built up enough equity that it's finally possible. According to the National Association of Realtors, NAR, the typical repeat buyer puts down 23% when they buy a home. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart there showing repeat buyers often put down 20% or more. Now, 23% it says here. I'm going to tell you that's a rookie move. Use that, put down 20% and use the extra 3% to buy down the interest rate. It'll save you a lot more money than the extra 3% on the payments. So 23% or 20%, more than double the 10% they may have put down as a first-time buyer. So how do they manage it? Their equity. When you've owned a house for a while, 2 things tend to happen. 1, you pay down your mortgage, and 2, your home's value climbs. The difference between what you still owe on your mortgage and what your house is worth is your equity. And the longer you've lived in your house, the bigger that number grows. When you sell, your equity turns into cash. And NAR data shows most repeat buyers put it straight toward their next down payment. And now we've got that chart. Most repeat buyers use the money from their sale toward their next down payment. Proceeds from sale of the primary residence, 54%. Savings, 42%. Sale of stocks or bonds, 7%. First-time buyers don't have that springboard yet, and that's normal. But if you already own, you may be holding more buying power than you think because of it. And if putting 20% down is finally possible, it may be worth at least considering. Here's why. Let's go over what you get in return. 4 perks of 20% or more down. As Redfin explains, putting more down pays off in a few ways. A smaller monthly payment. The more you put down, the less you borrow at today's rates. And if taking on a higher mortgage rate is one of the reasons you're debating whether to move, that's a win. Paying less interest. A smaller loan can also carry less interest cost across the life of your mortgage. If you put 20% down, you'll pay interest on the remaining 80%. Put 5% down, and you'll pay interest on the remaining 95%, which will cost you more over the lifetime of the loan. No private mortgage insurance, PMI. When you put down less than 20% on a conventional loan, lenders usually add a monthly fee called private mortgage insurance. With 20% down, PMI isn't required, and that saves your money every month. A stronger offer, a larger down payment, can make your offer more attractive. Since sellers tend to read it as a sign your financing is solid and the deal is more likely to close. Bottom line. So no, you don't need to put 20% down to buy your next home, but you may want to. If your equity puts it within reach, Going bigger can lower your costs and make moving more doable than you think, even with today's rates. A trusted lender can run the numbers on your financing, and you want to know what your current house could add to your next down payment? Let's talk. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. Picture this. You spend 30 years paying down a home. You do everything right. Then you pass away and your family cannot touch that house for a year or more. Worse, it costs them tens of thousands of dollars just to get the keys. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today, I want to talk about something that has nothing to do with your interest rate and everything to do with whether the wealth you built actually reaches the people you love. I want to talk about the living trust. Here's the plain English version. A living trust is a legal container you create while you're alive. You move assets into it, your house, your accounts, your rental property, and here's the part people miss. You're still in charge. In most cases, you are the trustee. You manage everything exactly the way you did before. You can sell, you can refinance, you can spend. Nothing about your daily life changes. What changes is what happens when you're gone. A trust names a beneficiary the same way a will does, but the assets inside the trust are structured to pass directly to those people without going through the probate court. Probate, that is the word that costs families real money. In California, probate fees are set by statute. They are based on the gross value of the estate, not the equity. I want to say that one more time because it's the most expensive misunderstanding in this entire conversation. Probate fees in California are based on the gross value of the estate, not the equity. So picture a home worth $1.6 million with a $425,000 mortgage on it. Your actual equity is $1,175,000. But the probate clock runs on the full $1,600,000. Under the California statutory schedule, that works out to roughly $29,000 for the attorney and roughly $29,000 for the executor. Call it up to $58,000 on a home you already paid for, plus court costs, plus the time. And time is the second cost. Probate in California commonly runs 12 to 18 months, sometimes longer. During that window, the house sits. The mortgage payment does not sit. The property tax does not sit. The insurance does not sit. Somebody in the family has to cover all of it out of the pocket while the court decides what everybody in that family already knew. So what does this mean for you? It means a living trust is not a rich person tool. It is a middle-class tool, and in California, it matters twice as much because our home values run about double the national average. The same house that creates a modest probate bill in most of the country creates a serious one here. Now, let me give you the other side because I am not here to sell you a trust. I do not sell trusts. I refer people to professionals who do. A living trust has 4 real limits. Here are 4 of them. Number 1, a living trust is not asset protection. It does not shield your assets from creditors. If you owe money, a revocable trust does not make that go away. Number 2, it does not save you taxes, not now, not at your death. Anybody who tells you a revocable living trust is a tax strategy is selling you something. Number 3, it counts against you for Medicaid eligibility. A revocable trust is treated as countable resource. Number 4, it costs money to set up, and not every asset moves in cleanly. A car is the classic example. Retitle your car into a trust, and you can run into problems with your auto insurance because on paper, you're no longer the owner. So a trust is a tool, not a miracle. Tools work when you match them to the job. Here's where this connects to what I do every day. The single biggest mistake I see is not that families skip the trust, is that they create the trust and then never fund it. An unfunded trust is an empty box. If the deed to your home still says your name and not the name of the trust, that home goes through probate anyway. You paid the attorney, you paid the binder, or you signed the binder. You put it in a drawer, and the one asset it was supposed to protect never made it inside. This comes up constantly on my side of the table. When you refinance property that sits in a trust, the home usually comes out of the trust to close the loan, and it has to go back in afterward. If nobody is watching that step, your trust is now an empty box, and you do not find out for 20 years at the worst possible moment. So if you refinanced in the last few years and you have a trust, go check the deed today. That is a 10-minute phone call to your title company or your estate attorney, and is the highest return 10 minutes in this entire subject. Let me tie it back to the framework I use with every family. Safety, liquidity, and return. A trust is a safety play. It protects the transfer, but liquidity is the part people forget. If your family has to carry a $425,000 mortgage for 18 months while the court sorts out the estate, where does that cash come from? This is exactly why I never recommend paying off a mortgage early and locking every dollar you have inside the walls of a house. Equity trapped in a home is not liquid. Your family cannot eat drywall. The right answer is almost never one document. It is a document plus the structure behind it. And that's the whole point of what we do. Eligibility asks whether you can get a loan. Suitability asks whether you should, and how should it be built. Strategy beats rate always. We have covered estate structure in depth on prior shows and put the whole breakdown into one paper, and you can see that. We'll share it with you. Here's what I want you to do. If you do not have a trust and you own a home in California, get in front of an estate professional. If you do not have one, verify it is funded. I offer my listeners a direct connection to the estate planning partners we work with. It costs nothing to talk to them. Go to rsrlinks.com/estate. That's rsrlinks.com/estate. We'll point you to the right professional and make sure the mortgage side of your picture lines up with the legal side. Nothing I said today is legal or tax advice. I'm a lender, not an attorney. Talk to a qualified estate attorney and tax professional about your situation. Your family should inherit your house, not your paperwork. I'm Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, you won the Landlord game. The tax bill is optional. And more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender. Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. I should mention, because we had a comment during the last segment that someone's looking to buy out siblings from an estate. If you're going to be moving into that property and you want the carry forward on the estate, if you qualify for it, make sure you do the buyout the right way. There are some catches in there that can really cost you tens of thousands of dollars over time. So be real careful on that one. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. Let me ask you a question. Do you own a rental property that made you money for 20 years and now it just makes you tired? I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today I want to talk to the landlords, the people who bought a rental back when their kids were little, the folks who inherited mom's duplex, the couple who owns a small commercial building and can't take a vacation without their phone ringing. You did the hard part. You bought real estate. You held it. It went up in value. Congratulations. You won the game. So why does winning feel so heavy? Here's the trap most landlords feel stuck in. You want out. You're done with tenants, toilets, and trash. You have talked to your tax person, and the answer is always the same. If you sell, the tax bill is enormous. Capital gains, depreciation recapture, state taxes. For a property you have owned for decades, you could be handing over a very large chunk of everything you built. So you keep the property, not because you love it, because you feel trapped by the tax code. What if I told you there's a path where you keep the tax deferral, keep the income, and hand the keys to somebody else? There is a strategy, has been around for a long time, that lets an owner move from a property they manage into a real estate somebody else manages. You may have heard of a 1031 exchange. That's the classic swap where you sell one property and roll it into another without paying the tax today. Most people think a 1031 means trading one landlord job for a different landlord job. It does not have to. There is a version where you exchange into a professionally managed piece of institutional real estate. Think of it: apartment communities, medical buildings, industrial properties, kind of real estate you could never buy on your own. You own a slice of it. Professionals run it. You get a check. Nobody calls you about a water heater at midnight. And then there's a second step some investors take. It's another type of an exchange that can move that investment into a large diversified real estate portfolio. At that point, you're not managing anything. You own an interest in dozens or even hundreds of properties run by full-time professionals that can pay you your income for as long as you hold it. So what does this mean for you? It means sell and pay a giant tax bill and keep the property forever are not the only two choices. There is a middle path. Millions of dollars of family wealth moves through this path every year. Most everyday property owners have simply never heard of it. Now, here's the part that matters most, and it's a part that almost nobody talks about on the radio. This is not just a retirement strategy. It is an estate strategy. Under current tax law, when you pass away, your heirs can receive a step up in basis. In plain English, the tax bill you've been deferring all these years does not automatically land on your kids. Structured correctly and held the right way, that deferred tax can effectively go away for your family. Think about that. The tax you've been afraid of your whole life may be a tax your family never pays, but only if the plan is set up correctly, in the right order before you sell. Do it out of order, take the cash first, and the door closes permanently. Why am I telling you all this? Because I sit in a unique seat. I handle real estate and I handle lending. I see these situations every week. The tired landlord, the widow with the fourplex, the family that inherited property in 2 states and has no idea what to do with it. And let me be very clear about something. I am not giving you tax advice today. I am not giving you legal advice or investment advice. This strategy involves securities, tax law, and estate law, and every one of those needs a licensed professional. That is exactly the point. This is a team sport. What I do is quarterback the conversation. I know the tax professionals, the attorneys, and the specialists who do this work every day. My job is to understand your situation on the real estate and lending side and then put you in a room with the right people in the right order before you sign anything. Because here is the thing about this strategy. The biggest mistakes are not made by people who choose the wrong option. They're made by people who sell first and ask questions later. Once escrow closes and the cash hits your account, most of these doors are shut. The planning has to happen before the sale, not after. So if you own investment property and any part of today's conversation sounded like your life, if you're tired of, if you have thought about selling, if you've wondered what happens to the property and the tax bill when you're gone, do this one thing. Go to bookrs15.com. Go to bookrs15.com. Grab 15 minutes with me on a video chat. Tell me about your property and what you want your life to look like. I'll help you understand the real estate and lending side, and then I'll put you in touch with the right professionals for everything else. No pressure, no obligation, just clarity. You spent decades building this. Take 15 minutes to protect it. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by rsrwealthbuilder.com, rsrwealthbuilder.com. Well, I thought we had time. I don't think we have time for we do have time. Okay. Real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Worried about a housing crash? The numbers tell a calmer story. A recent survey from Talker Research asked Americans to pick one word to describe how 2026 has felt so far. The winner? Stressful. And honestly, there's been a lot going on, so it's understandable if you've been putting off buying or selling a home until things settle down. But you may be waiting on something that's already happened. While everything else has felt shaky, the housing market has become one of the steadiest things out there. Look at the data. Home prices have leveled out after years of fast increases. Data from the National Association of Realtors, NAR, shows home prices have been remarkably steady for the past 4 years. If you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 and FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of home prices have been relatively stable for the past few years. Experts say that's what to expect going forward too. Selma Happ, chief economist of Cotality, explains, quote, in 2026, we expect home prices to remain broadly stable with modest appreciation at a national level, unquote. No wild swings, just slow, steady growth. That's a healthy market. Of course, that pace can vary a little bit depending on where you live, but nationally, steady growth like this makes it easier to plan your budget, whether you're buying or selling. Supply of homes for sale has steadied for years. The supply of homes for sale has a moving target. It dropped fast during the pandemic and has been climbing pretty reliably ever since. Now that pace of growth has slowed down. According to Realtor.com, inventory today is very close to where it was this time last year. Another chart, inventory has been mostly stable over the past year, and you can see that right there. That's helpful no matter which side you're on. When the number of homes for sale isn't changing much, you know what you're walking into, how many options you'll have as a buyer, and how much competition you'll face as a seller. Mortgage rates found their range. Yes, rates jumped dramatically back in 2022. But since then, Freddie Mac data shows they've stayed between 6 and 7% for the better part of the last 3 or so years. Another chart. After a volatility stretch, mortgage rates are finding stability. Yes, there was one brief spike above that threshold, but overall, rates have stayed in that range for a while now. That predictability helps when you're planning a move. And now that seems to be a stronger term trend. People accepted as the new normal. Buyers have gotten comfortable purchasing in that range, and sellers have gotten just as comfortable listing in it. That comfort's important. That comfort's important because when both sides know what to expect, they keep making moves. In other words, the market isn't frozen waiting for something to change. It's moving calmly. Bottom line, the rest of the world may feel unpredictable right now, but the housing market doesn't have to. Prices, inventory, and rates have all found solid ground. If stability is what you've been waiting for, it's already here. Let's connect if you want to talk through what that means for your move. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.